Hey, Rebel Rouser. I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. We're at episode number 1694 today. Thank you so much for joining me for it. Thank you so much for subscribing to the show if you happen to be doing that too. And also to all the patrons of the show who support me and this daily dose of Star Wars joy at patreon.com/SW7x7. Thank you so much for your continued support of me in this 5th year now of doing this show. Today we're going to talk about something related to the Galaxy of Adventures thing that we were talking about, because with the launch of Galaxy of Adventures and the launch of the youtube.com/Star Wars Kids channel that they did as well, they also introduced a couple of other series to go along with Galaxy of Adventures, and they haven't filled out these series as deeply so far as they have with those little animated shorts for Galaxy of Adventures that they've done so far. But, you know, they're getting there, and they're getting some really weird and interesting ones in there. So they're doing a Star Wars by the Numbers series. And I tell you, a couple of these things are absolutely mesmerizing. I mean, absolutely, like, you start watching it and you're going, oh, this is crazy. And then you check the timer on the thing because you're thinking, wow, there's this much. And then you see it's going to be 6 minutes long and you're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And yet it's practically impossible to turn away. So of the 6 that have been released so far, I will say that, first of all, they're all really a credit to the editors who have to go through these Star Wars movies and find all of these different elements and cut videos down to show us all of them. I mean, the work that has to go into these little video clips is absolutely massive, and it must have taken the better part of a week just for one of them at a time. So kudos to the team making these by the numbers videos, because man, oh man, this is a lot of detail oriented work. So I would say probably the one that blows my mind the most is the one that worked to count all of the times that Chewbacca grunted or growled or roared in the original trilogy. And you don't realize how much Chewie was talking in these movies. It's insane. Every single little, like, I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling when you watch it. And it turns out that he was the most talkative in The Empire Strikes Back. So you get him in Star Wars and they count like 95 grunts out of him. Yeah, not quite 94, but you think that's a lot when you watch it. And then you see The Empire Strikes Back one and you're like, oh, wow. So another reason why Empire Strikes Back is the best of the original trilogy, because there's more Chewbacca talking in that one than there is in the other two. And Star Wars comes in second and Return of the Jedi comes in third. So I guess that's sort of a natural progression just in general. And the other one of the 6 that is just about as insanely mesmerizing is the one where they count Yoda's grunts and groans and giggles across all the movies. So it's not just Jedi and Empire, it's also all the prequels, and it's also The Last Jedi too. So yeah, oh man, you will be absolutely amazed, I tell you. And surprise, surprise, Empire, of course, is the one where he has the most activity. But man, that's really awesome. The one that I think must have been the toughest to do, and you know, oh gosh, whoever asked for this one, oh, this is painful in its way. Somebody asked for the folks doing these videos to count every laser blast from stormtroopers. And so they actually did it for the Death Star escape. So basically, from the moment that any laser blasts are fired by stormtroopers in the detention block, they start counting those. And then there's also the ones where Luke and Leia are on the other side of the chasm and the stormtroopers are up top across the bridge shooting at them, or when Han and Chewie run into the stormtroopers. And there's also when Luke and company see Vader kill Obi-Wan Kenobi and all the stormtroopers start shooting at them. Like, man, for them opening up the video with the moment where Obi-Wan says only stormtroopers are so precise, and then they show this video where they're ringing up shot by shot the number of missed shots from stormtroopers. It's insane, and it kind of makes you want to buy into that fan theory that Darth Vader had given orders somehow, or that the stormtroopers had orders somehow, if Luke was around, to make sure that they didn't hit him. And, you know, that's how precise they were. They were so precise that they could be firing down this corridor and make it seem like they were going to hit Luke, or make it, you know, appear that it was dangerous enough that he was going to get shot, and yet still not shoot him. I love that idea. That's a really fascinating theory, even if it's got to be, you know, incorrect at the level of bonkers, basically. And another cool one was the hyperspace jumps one that they did. How many times have they had hyperspace jumps in all the Star Wars movies? And in a very cool choice of things, they actually separate out the difference between ships jumping into hyperspace and ships coming out of hyperspace. And I don't know how they managed to count for the Battle at Endor and the Battle of Scarif, because that's a lot of hyperspace jumping that happened around those two battles for sure. And, you know, the way that that's done, and the way that the Yoda grunts and the Chewbacca roars are done, and, you know, the Stormtrooper blasts too, they're done in chronological order, and not all of these are done in chronological order. There's one with lightsaber ignitions, and I think that's another really fun choice to see all the lightsaber ignitions in the Star Wars movies. But in that particular video, which is actually one of the first videos they did with this, they mix up the order of the lightsaber ignition. That one jumps all over the board, and so it's a little hard to keep track in that way. And, you know, I personally would have liked it the other way. But hey, that's all right. It's not bad to have a little variety here and there either. And then the other one that had to be absolutely the most laborious one of all time, they actually did a video for every time someone says yes or no in every single Star Wars movie. And that was not quite as mesmerizing as the Chewie and Yoda ones, but it was still right up there. And it's weird to focus on one word like that, or two words like that, and just the diametric opposites. And I won't tell you which one ended up having more than the other. I will say that, you know, there are a couple instances where I feel like they could have also done something fun with this too in particular, and I'll tell you what occurred to me in just a second here. I just do want to say, naturally, and if you're not subscribing, I hope it's worth your time to have this delivered to you every single day, wherever it is that you happen to like to catch it. And I also hope that you'll consider, you know, hey, 20 hours a week and change I'm doing this, and if you think that that's worth a little something in the tip jar, especially since I've been doing it for 4.5 years, then hey, go on over to patreon.com/SW7x7 and join the fun there. So the thing that I think they could have had a little extra fun with is, you know, we have no's in Star Wars, and then we have no's, and I think they probably could have done something fun, like do extra like blinking things and effects for those crazy no's and stuff like that. So, you know, like break the mold and the format to some degree sometimes. I think something like that would be fun. So, you know, I'll put that out there for the folks making Star Wars by the Numbers for their, you know, next series that they do, where they're comparing and contrasting something versus something else. And if they have an opportunity to do that, I think that would be good fun. But just across the board, you know, these are very well done, and man, a lot of work going into those videos to be able to find all the instances that they're tracking and to count them all. You know, kudos to the Lucasfilm folks working on that, to be sure. And that is going to do it for today's episode of the show. Thank you so much for joining me for it again and always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.